Yes, sirree. A very good Monday morning to you, Grenada, as we begin a brand new week here on Gudday Grenada. He's waiting to see who's going to be first this morning. I see them now scampering. Ha! 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 New winner this morning. Mr. Fitzroy James just edges out Hazel Ferguson this morning. Hazel, you got to settle for a second spot this morning. Congratulations anyway, and a big congratulations to you too, Mr. Fitzroy Adams. I can't believe these races every morning at 9 o'clock. Thank you so much. Really, really nice to see it. Third place, by the way, this morning is Sawandi Fabio Sam. He's saying good morning to all of you folks. In fact, everybody's saying good morning to you guys. Thanks a lot for joining us. Okay, I hope you guys had a great weekend. Mine, same as usual, worked right through the weekend, but I'll tell you what, didn't go to the beach yesterday, but this morning we did go to the beach. Quite a bit of seaweed down there this morning, and I saw on Facebook just a few minutes ago where somebody posted that it's also showing up in the Carenage now. Yeah, pictures on Facebook. I think it was posted by Claudette Joseph. Yeah. Well, anyhow, it was a nice weekend, and I'm thankful. I am thankful. I did get some shut-eye. Grateful for that. Now, where do we go today? But Claude Pudna, good morning. Good morning to you, Claude. Where do we go today? We're going to begin today with another horrifying tale from the Bahamas. You know, I've seen so many of these heart-wrenching videos over the past week or so, but this one doesn't show you the destruction, but this one allows you to hear from someone who experienced firsthand Hurricane Dorian. And it's sad, it's sad. We'll run that by you this morning. Then we do have the national report, and then another sad story. I don't mean to get you down this morning, but there's certain things we really need to come to grips with, you know. A lot of us think we have problems. Yeah, pause for a minute and you'll find out just how many more problems other people out there have. We're going to run a segment from yesterday's edition of Sundays with George Grant as we ask the question, how much worse can our healthcare system get? For those of you who were with us yesterday, you saw all of it, I would imagine. And it leaves you with some food for thought. Something's got to give. Something has to give. You know, we keep hearing how hunky-dory everything is. Booming economy. Then let's get on with fixing the healthcare system. People's lives are important. Well, to some of us anyway. Huh? Arthur Langine is saying good morning. And Donna Joseph is saying good morning. Yes, Donna, I did have a great weekend. Samantha McFarland's also saying good morning, and so is Deborah Hopkin. Hello, Deborah Hopkin. So, folks, let's get right down to it. Let's get right down to it. The reason why I keep running these videos for you is because I so vividly remember Hurricane Ivan back in 2004. And one of the things I remember most about that episode is just how many people came to our rescue. They really reached out to us in our time of need. And it is my fervent hope that you too, by seeing what these folks in the Bahamas went through will also allow your hearts to be touched and reach out and help. Sometimes when we think about helping, we say, well, I don't have $1 million. You don't need $1 million. You don't even need 1,000,000 pennies. But whatever little bit you can help. Maybe not necessarily cash, but in kind. Okay? So please help. Here's another horrifying tale from the Bahamas, which I hope will really encourage you to reach out and help our neighbors.
Every house right now in Abaco, if there's not one house in Mashaba that is standing, there's not one absolute building that is standing. All the churches are gone. All the gas stations are gone. All the food stores are gone. All the schools are gone. All the homes are gone. Not literally just saying it to say it. Everything is absolutely gone. There is no life in Abaco, period. The whole island got washed away. Places where you know that was standing, you can't even tell whether that this place was standing here, what used to exist on this piece of block. Nothing is there anymore. When you walk the town, all the bushes are brown. Bodies, they have people there trying to find bodies, but so many buildings collapsed on top of people. The odor, the scent, everywhere is polluted. Dead bodies everywhere, dead animals, gas.
Yeah, you see this water here? The water over there darker than that.
Gas, whatever you could think about is polluting the water. People looping, people breaking into the food stores, what is left of the food stores, trying to find food, canned items. They taking these things out, contaminated water. I know because the people I was living at was doing it, bringing the food in. The children, them getting sick. They need to try evacuate every single living thing off that island. They don't need nobody there. I don't care what they talking about. Clean up, they need to do that themselves. They need to take all the children, all the people off the island, everybody. That place is not nowhere for no one to be at the moment. Absolutely destroyed. Absolutely destroyed, Anne Michelle. When you're walking through town, just to see. I can't. I've been there for 3 years, and Abaco just seeing what it was.
Sabrina, you make it. You home.
Just seeing what it was.
And I praise God
we had
for
to
you day
move
on.
through from the storm moving, things getting whooped up. We had to go and day on, crate, people houses in the middle of the road. Day on had to come out the car, move crate to get us to where we was. I could feel the car shaking, getting ready to lift up me and IJ and Liam in the car, screaming, hollering for him to get back in the car. When we reached by my friend, her mommy bathroom, only thing happened to her mommy 2-story, her bathroom roof upstairs fell in and the kitchen in the back. But when the tail part of the storm came, the surge came into our house up to the 2nd story. We had to take all the children and put them upstairs. I sit on the stairs and just pray the whole time that water didn't cover our house, because people 2-story house was covered in water. Where the hell I was going to put my children? No life vest, nothing. And they had babies in the house younger than him.
Were they scared? Like, did they know?
They cried the whole time. All the children were scared. Everybody knew what was going on. As young as they were, they know it was something drastic happening.
Ripping going on.
And Michelle, this was enough. But I need to sit down in front of the news and see what took place in Abaco, because that couldn't just been a hurricane.
There have been multiple tornadoes.
It wasn't just a hurricane. There have been tornadoes. The way people's homes are destroyed, and me living in this Bahamas, I done been through a Category 5 hurricane right there in South Beach by Jam. I have never seen nothing like that. That was not only a hurricane. When I went back home to where we were staying, I couldn't believe it. If we had stayed in there.
It's a good thing you're on there.
I packed one little bag.
Where's Prisca?
She stayed by her mommy.
Okay.
They don't want to leave the island.
They gonna have to leave.
And the island is polluted. Her niece already in there with a high fever.
She have to
Every
come
day
out.
they going out in town, bringing back these things, or the contaminated water where you could smell them. I passed 3 dead bodies the first day when I decided to, after the water died down, because water was through the town up to your chest. I say, I'm not getting sick. I tired of my skin started to break out and all. I say, I can wait till the water died down. You walk in, you could see the dead bodies. Bodies everywhere. Everywhere you ride, you could smell it. They have a whole, what they call it, the truck with the bed on the back. They have some people, flatbed, they have some people dressed in white with the mask. Like 20 of them just riding around looking for dead bodies right now as we speak.
That's only the set in the open.
And that's only the set in the open. Because every single house I pass from where I live, every house I pass is
Collapse.
or you don't even know that there was a house there. The whole house is gone, break down like Annie Michelle. This shit is like shit you see happen in Haiti.
In the movies? Everyone I know.
This like a nightmare. I never ever thought I would have ever expected. I just thank God I alive. My friend Ajane, I don't even know if she alive. She might be dead.
Kind of painful to watch, isn't it? Kind of painful to watch. Not just listen to, but to watch. The expression on that lady's face tells it all. So please, do whatever you can to help. And I really do appreciate that. I believe they will too. See that Peter Bishop's there this morning. Kind of late showing up this morning, Pedro, but good to see you. Pele Darbo is also there, very early this morning. Cricket's now moved to the nighttime, CPL. So he's free to join us early in the morning. Good morning, Mags. I see that Mags is there. She's not chimed in yet, but I see that she's there. And also Ricardo Keynes Douglas. Thank you very much. Thank you very much. And by the way, Ricardo, I don't think I had a chance to say this to you before, but when you ran that Ivan a couple of weeks ago down at Marichaux House, granted, this play has been around for what, 14, 15 years? But it was the first time I saw it. I was probably the last person in this country to see that because a lot of people had seen it. And Sharon was there with us, Carla, Bishop Clyde Harvey was there with us, and a whole number of people. We went as a group. And you know something, Richard? I sat there, I'm not ashamed to admit this, but towards the end of the first act, that play really hit home. It really hit home. And I confess, I sat there in that theater and it brought a tear to my eyes. The reason being that when Ivan hit, I was in a very awkward position. I was working with a certain radio station here at the time. Not Chime, no, well before Chime. And they said they wanted a mature voice on the air to keep the people of this country calm. And asked me to come out and anchor the broadcast. They started at about 2 o'clock that afternoon, just at about the time that the storm actually hit. And let me tell you, I hope never to relive that experience. But the way in which you portrayed Ivan hit so close to home. Yes, made a lot of people cry. Made a lot of people cry. Yes, there was laughter, and that's great. But it brought back an awful lot of memories. Yeah. If only we had the resources to turn that into a documentary, would be great. Okay, Michelle Forsyth is saying good morning from St. Vincent. Good to see you, Michelle. Good morning. Thank you very much for joining us. If you see or talk to Jerry, say hello to Jerry. Dennis Isaac. That's Jerry George, by the way. Dennis Isaac says he's watching and listening from Long Island. And Sonia McKee John is saying good morning, George and all. Nice to see you folks. Thank you so much for joining us. All right, let's take our first little break here, and then we'll come on back with Friday's edition. Now, remember, I'm stressing Friday's edition of the National Report. Here we go.
Because your vehicle is a necessity, being roadworthy is critical. Hubbard's Motor Department introduces its new tire and battery sales and service outlet located at Building Supplies Compound in Grand Anse, close to the Sugar Mill Roundabout. Available are a wide range of competitively priced tires, maintenance-free batteries, oils and lubricants. Keeping in mind your busy schedule, this outlet is equipped to provide you with fast and reliable service. Simply drive in and you'll be delighted with your service experience. For more information, contact 440-2087. Hubbard's. Quality service. Affordable prices.
I'm always on the move. Training, traveling, competing. So it's good to know I have Co-op Bank in the palm of my hand.
Introducing e-banking, one of many customer convenience services from Grenada Cooperative Bank, and there's more to come.
It's swift, simple, and secure.
Welcome home.
You don't know how many hurricanes will be coming this season, so you need to be prepared. At Hubbard's Hardware and Building Supply Departments and Food Fair Supermarkets, everything from canned foods, flashlights and batteries, to plywood, tarpaulin, lanterns, roof repair kits, water tanks, etc. are available. For over 90 years, we've helped you prepare for and recover from storms. Hubbard's Hardware, Food Fair Supermarkets, and the Grenadian General Insurance, an integral part of your hurricane preparedness plan.
Sawandi says that his heart bleeds for the people of the Bahamas. You're not alone, Sawandi. And I certainly hope that there are going to be more and more hearts bleeding as we continue to show you these post-hurricane images. Also joined by Mr. John Bruno is with us this morning, and I see that Mr. Randall Robinson has graced us with his presence this morning. Good to see you, Randy. There's a note here now from Michelle Forsyth. She says, of course I know it's Jerry George. He is driveing at the moment. Yeah, he does a lot of that. Let's see if you know to remember that word. Yes, I remember that word. Of course I do. Drive? Yeah. My brother did a heck of a lot more of that than I did. She says here, gone forward, but I will say hi soonest. Thank you very much, Michelle. Appreciate it. Hope to meet you one of these days. All right, folks, here comes your national report.
Fiscal Responsibility Oversight Committee commends government for staying within the fiscal space. Details to this story and more in the national report. With the details to the news for Friday, September 6th, I am Rakisha St. Louis. Government has been commended for keeping within the fiscal space in 2018. In its 2018 report, the Fiscal Responsibility Oversight Committee said of the 5 rules and targets in the Fiscal Responsibility Act, there were 3 areas of compliance with reservations. One is that the wage bill to GDP ratio should not exceed 9%. Another is that the rate of growth of primary expenditure should not exceed 2%. And the third, primary balance to GDP ratio should not be less than 3.5%. Addressing the media during the launch of the FROC report on Thursday, Chairman Richard Duncan said government has maintained control and has not exceeded its spending ceiling.
Government has a constraint in terms of how they can spend, and that's where the Fiscal Responsibility Act comes in to ensure that certain ceilings are not exceeded. And as people remember, we always say that the origins and the genesis of fiscal crises is when we spend more than we earn, or we spend irresponsibly, and therefore, while the government has a program of expenditure, it is bounded by the Act to do so in a responsible way, and that we have seen.
The 2 areas cited as non-compliant or the public sector debt to GDP ratio whose target should not exceed 55%, and the public-private partnership contingent liabilities, which should not exceed 5% of GDP. They were, however, described as making steady progress towards compliance.
Basically, it is good news on 3 of the 5 rules. And the 2, where we say that there is non-compliance, steady progress is being made with respect to 1, that is the public sector debt to GDP, and the public-private partnership assessment remains outstanding, and there's work to be done.
Committee member Angus Smith highlighted some of the recommendations made to enable more growth and accountability.
We noted that while complete data and information is not available for the entire public sector, so until they get the covered public entities included in the data, they will be weak in those areas. But central government's performance has largely followed the act. From that, we suggested that government should issue a policy statement on a targeted time frame for expanding fiscal and debt data coverage to the entire public sector debt. This is the 3rd report we are doing. This is the 3rd time we are saying that the covered public entities are not included. And we are suggesting that they issue a policy statement given a time frame, a targeted time frame to get these statutory bodies under reporting. Instead of leaving it open-ended, they should issue a policy statement with a targeted time frame.
Government was also commended on having favorable macroeconomic growth, low unemployment, a stable financial sector, and lower debt stock. This is the 3rd report issued by the committee. The first report covered the year 2016 and the second report covered 2017. The Fiscal Responsibility Oversight Committee was established in accordance with the Fiscal Responsibility Act No. 29 of 2015 to create a transparent and accountable rule-based fiscal responsibility framework in Grenada to guide and anchor fiscal policy during the budget process. The foundation is being laid to revive the dormant National Poultry Farm in an attempt is being made by a young man in the area to inject new life and new ideas into the project. A bit more from Prima Lewis.
Employment opportunities created for people in the parish of St. Andrew with the opening of the National Poultry Farm in Post Royal in a matter of weeks. An immediate priority of management is to ensure that consumers are able to purchase chicken and eggs at the supermarkets for Christmas. Operating under the new name Family Farms Grenada, it will seek to bring a poultry brand to the sector, limiting the importation of chicken to the island. This is according to the owner, 30-year-old Kobe Williams, who gave a tour of the facility recently to Minister of Agriculture Yolande Bain Horsford and other ministry staff. Williams says his main aim is to supply better quality and healthier chicken to the local market.
We imported about over 20 million pounds last year. So we're excited to grab some of that business, supply a better product to customers, and just do it in a different way, a new way. And we're very excited to get the farm up and running.
He said that 3,000 to 4,000 chickens will be slaughtered at the farm every 5 weeks.
Right now, with the current capacity of these 2 houses, we can hold over 6,000 chickens. We plan to get it up to 9,000 in the next 2 months or so. We're just waiting on some processing equipment, but we're looking at pushing out 3,000 to 4,000 chickens every 5 weeks. So that's the kind of production we are looking at. Yeah, so you can expect us, within the next year, we're looking at over 35,000 birds produced and sold.
Minister of Agriculture and Lands, Honorable Yolande Bain Horsford, is in full support of the venture. She says youth in agriculture and increased poultry production are 2 of the ministry's target areas.
I support it wholeheartedly because we're looking at young persons involved in agriculture and poultry. We're looking at the cutting down of importation of poultry to the island. We eat too much foreign food that we don't even know about. And there is a young man trying to build that area, getting involved in that area. I want to wish him all the best. We are wholeheartedly behind him as the Ministry of Agriculture. And with that trust, with the whole poultry policy and getting things in order, we that's another client.
Dr. Kimon Cummins, Acting Chief Veterinary and Livestock Officer in the Ministry of Agriculture, says there is a direct and indirect support to that venture from the ministry.
Directly, we have offered lots of technical and concessionary assistance. Indirectly, we're setting up the structures presently within the industry so that persons like Mr. Williams, as we go forward, the business would be able to thrive. You would have heard about the poultry policy. I'm not sure if I'm allowed to speak of other detailed engagements that we would have had with other establishments and other agencies, but we're in the process of setting up the structures. So as I said previously, businesses like Mr. Williams would definitely survive.
For the Ministry of Agriculture, I am Karima Lewis.
This is the National Report. We'll have more news when we return.
Make sure you have your radio and your batteries do. Waterproof flashlight candles will do. Tin stuff, garbage bag, first aid kit. Come on people, make sure you have it. Clean water in a container and a hurricane plan. Hear me no man.
Hurricane damage is beyond your control. Surviving the aftermath is up to you. Have a hurricane plan. It can save your life and your family too.
Prepare for hurricane. Your hair, prepare for hurricane.
Welcome back. Grenada is making efforts to strengthen diaspora management and involvement. The International Organization for Migration held a two-day conference in Grenada this week to discuss and highlight Caribbean migrants and introduce its 2019 to 2020 Regional Migration Research Project. The organization seeks to promote diversity and inclusion of migrants in society. Foreign Affairs Minister Honorable Peter David says Grenada will build a platform for growth and Grenadians in the diaspora. He says the plan is to get Grenadians in the diaspora more involved and keep them up to date on local occurrences. Minister David says building relationships with them is a sound investment in better policy making and good governance and will augur well for future development.
We must articulate the pathways towards a cooperative, meaningful role for our diaspora in national development, lay the foundations to follow up on our engagement and initiatives. I wish to express our government and people's thanks to the IOM for their assistance in helping us with this exercise. This project will allow us to build a platform that seeks to understand the diaspora, address needs, fill gaps, and strengthen their participation and contribution to national development. U.S.
Ambassador to Barbados and the Eastern Caribbean, Linda Tagliella-Taylor, stressed the importance of migration to Caribbean economic growth and development. She says Grenadians in the U.S. contribute $1 million in remittances annually.
The United States is the world's largest source of remittances with more than $100 billion. Caribbean countries like Jamaica receive $1.8 billion in remittances. The Dominican Republic receives $5 billion, and Grenada receives approximately $1 million. The expatriate communities in the United States have played a key role in countries throughout the world, and it goes beyond economic support. Students educated in the United States, like Grenada's own Prime Minister Keith Mitchell, have gone on to make significant contributions in science, sports, commerce, and government in their own countries.
The conference highlighted issues such as free mobility, migration management, refugee protection, and diaspora engagement. And finally, Grenada is hosting a two-day workshop next week to increase resilience and reduce vulnerability to climate change impacts in the Eastern Caribbean fisheries sector. This will be done through the introduction of adaptation measures in fisheries management and capacity building of fisherfolk and aquaculturists. The project is currently being implemented in Antigua and Barbuda, Dominica, Grenada, St. Kitts and Nevis, St. Lucia, St. Vincent and the Grenadines, and Trinidad and Tobago. This workshop will be held at the Fisheries Conference on Monday and Tuesday, and it entails a series of meetings and working interactive sessions. On the final day, however, there will be simulation exercises planned where participants will be able to practice the skills learned and get hands-on experience and knowledge while at sea. The workshop will be facilitated by the Caribbean ICT program team from the University of the West Indies in Trinidad. That story just ended the national report for today, Friday, September 6th. Let's recap the top story. Fiscal Responsibility Oversight Committee commends government on staying within the fiscal space. On behalf of the entire news team here at the Government Information Service, I am Rakisha St. Louis saying thank you for joining us. Until next time.
Well, during that broadcast, we were joined by Chester out there in Switzerland, and also Glenn Andrew Mark, who was out there in Michigan this morning. Just a couple of comments that came in on the national report. One from John Bruno. He says, in the same phase they're talking, or they're asking for the scrapping of the bill, since there are so many piece amendments. Yeah, let's see what happens. Sawandi says, foreign foods that we don't know about. I really don't know what to say right now. And then just going back a little bit to Ivan, a couple of things here about that chat we were having about Ivan. Michelle Forsyth says, I will never forget Hurricane Ivan. I say to all, you have to live a hurricane to know what it is. Yeah, Michelle, that was my second one. I went through Janet as well. Yes, my heart goes out to all affected by those storms. We did a lot of things wrong after Ivan, but we laughed a good deal. And that helped us to get through the dark period. Thanks, Ricardo. Michelle, I think a lot of people are thanking Ricardo. Thank you for recognizing his talent. Sawandi also says, George, speaking about experience, did you read my piece? Sawandi, I'm not sure which piece you're talking about. I'm not sure. I have not read any pieces from you, so if you want to send me a link, I'll take a look. He says, this was the very experience that caused me to become a member of NADMA for a period of time. I just wanted to help in the best way possible. Well, Sawandi, you're not alone, because I too was a member of NADMA for a period of time. And then I just got very frustrated with what I saw happening, and I decided that my time could be better utilized elsewhere and otherwise. I was very concerned. Things have changed now, apparently, but I was very concerned when I was taken to task for notifying the people of this country that storms were coming across the Atlantic. They didn't want the public to be told anything until the storms reached midway across the Atlantic. And to that I said, horse feathers. Once I saw something coming off the coast of Africa, and it was reported by the National Hurricane Center, which is where these guys get their information from, I felt it was necessary to tell the people, because those storms coming across the Atlantic get here to us a lot sooner than they do to the people in Florida and the East Coast of the United States. Something else that concerned me. They keep boasting that they get their information from the National Hurricane Center. Why then does it take if you're lucky, 3 hours before they tell you what the National Hurricane Center is saying? Why? Why, folks? It's not necessary. especially in this day and age. Everybody who has a smartphone, an iPad, a PC or whatever, they jump on the internet. The information's right there, you know? And then at the bottom of every release, they put this little caption that says, "We are the official source for information," and they get ticked off, you know, when other people like myself tell you what's happening out there. No, it's not very professional as far as I'm concerned. And so I decided, adios, you know. I'm still willing to help, and I will continue regardless of the consequences. I will continue to tell the people of this nation what's going on out there in the Atlantic. And it's not information that I make up. I get it from the National Hurricane Center. There are a lot of other sources, the Weather Channel, AccuWeather. Geez, I have a list of about 20 or 30 sources. You will get the information from me. All right. Let me see, what else is here? I mentioned Chester's joined us. Peter Bishop says, Grenadians abroad, do not fall on this diaspora scam. It's just old talk by Minister Peter David and his cohorts. It was the same minister who headed the same idea. And what was achieved? Okay. Sharon Roberts says, Ricardo is one of the best. The last showing of Ivan, I laughed and cried. And that was great therapy. Sharon and I was sitting next to each other, consoling each other. Margaret says, Peter Bishop, the diaspora is really code for cash cows living abroad that they can fleece. Margaret, you know, Margaret, that comment brings something to mind. Margaret, a lot of people know that for several years, I used to take the Sunday program on the road to places like New York, Toronto, London, Montreal, and do the program from those cities. And as a result, I came face to face with a lot of people in the diaspora. And Margaret, yeah, the people in the diaspora onto exactly what you're saying there. They understand exactly what you're saying there. Sometimes I felt embarrassed having to come face these people. Anyhow, Sharon says, I was a volunteer at NADMA for 20 years until last year. Yeah. Okay, folks, now, quick break here, and we're going to come back with that very sad piece from yesterday.
Good morning, Grenlek meter reader.
Morning, Mr. Meterman. I'm glad I caught you. Last month, I got a very high bill, and I don't understand why.
Last month, we were not able to access your meter, so we had to estimate the bill. This will happen if we don't get an actual reading.
So what can I do to ensure that my meter is easily accessible?
Well, you can get your licensed electrician to move your meter outside of the gate or directly in front of the house. That way, I'll have easy access and I won't have to deal with your dog.
Ah, Butch.
Yes, dogs can be a problem sometimes. On one occasion, I was attacked by a dog, and police had to get involved. Customers who don't want to cage or tie their dogs should really move their meter and make it easily accessible.
Well, I'll consider that.
Thank you.
Grenlink, energizing our Grenada.
Juve chocolates, cocoa nibs, and cocoa balls from Diamond Estate Grenada are now available at Amazon.com, Amazon.ca, Amazon.co.uk, and GrenadaMarket.com. Try the sensational touch of nutmeg and a touch of ginger chocolates, 75% dark and rich, 100% pure cocoa, and their 60% dark and sweet chocolate bars today. Amazon Prime members enjoy free shipping on these orders in the USA, Canada, and Europe. GrenadaMarket.com. When you can't come to the island, the products of the island will come to you.
Folks, the piece that I'm about to run is an excerpt from yesterday's edition of Sundays with George Grant. It's self-explanatory, so I'm not going to go into any detail about what you're about to watch. What I will do is extend an apology for some difficulties which you'll observe as you listen to this regarding the audio. We had a number of issues yesterday. First of all, yesterday morning, when I read the editorial from the New Today, a lot of you were going like, huh? Because they weren't hearing me. I'm looking you straight in the eye and saying, that was my bad. That was my fault. Okay? I always admit. I did not turn up my levels here, and as a result, you saw me and couldn't hear what I was saying. However, I have since posted the editorial on both the GrenadaBroadcast.com website. It's also up on YouTube as well, okay? Now, having said that, as you listen to this, you're gonna hear, one, some popping sounds which indicate what's referred to in the business as overmodulation. Yes, that is an issue that we have here. We're still trying to sort that out. It's an issue that we have here, and for that, I'm terribly sorry. However, you're also going to hear some extraneous noises, some sounds which I only noticed after the program. Our good friend Margaret in New York sent a little note saying, George, somebody's clicking on their microphone or something like that. No, that's not what was happening, Margaret. Still haven't been able to figure out where the heck that sound was coming from. Certainly wasn't here. Okay? So, folks, like I said, this piece is self-explanatory. Take a look. The gentleman you're looking at is a gentleman by the name of Mr. Alvin Redhead, and this gentleman has a story to tell that's it's going to make your stomach turn. It's going to make your stomach turn. And also joining us, Alvin is somebody I've described on the website as a good Samaritan. This gentleman is no stranger to a lot of you folks who are on social media. Gentlemen, hey, there he goes with a wave. Mr. Junior George from New York. The guy seems to spend all his time in a car or an SUV or a truck or whatever it is you run around in. Good to see you, Junior, man. Thanks a lot. My friends, no problem. My friends, let me tell you. One night this past week, somebody, Arthur Langone, sent me a short video that just ripped my heart to pieces. It's about a young man here in Grenada who seems to have died unnecessarily. Apparently this gentleman had some sort of incident and swallowed a tooth, and that tooth supposedly got stuck somewhere in his throat. Went to the hospital, I think surgery was done, and it was supposedly pushed down into his stomach, where he was then supposed to pass it out. To make a long story short, and we're going to talk about that story in just a wee bit, but apparently what happened is that it was never removed from his throat. and he died just this past week. I want to start by letting you, rather than show you the videos, I've got this gentleman here, the gentleman in whose arms this gentleman died, this young man died. And I'm going to ask him to explain to you what he knows best. Actually, perhaps I should start with Junior, because Junior is the person who wrote the story, if I'm not mistaken. Yeah, let me pull Junior up here. There he is. Junior?
Yes.
Tell me, how did you find out about this, and what did you find out?
Well, George, first of all, good morning to the viewers. Are you hearing me fine?
Yeah, just fine.
Okay, good. Okay, great. Good morning to the viewers there on Grenada Broadcast, folks that's watching around the world. Thanks for having me on your program today, George. As you rightfully say, I'm in the SUV. That's where I spend a lot of my time. And today I'm actually out and about getting ready to do some soccer with my son. But to answer your question, George, Right Along came upon this particular story at a point in time when someone tagged us information pertaining to this gentleman needing assistance, financial assistance, to do some kind of removal of a apparatus in his throat. So we jumped straight in, and we invited the gentleman on the program to share his story so that we could raise funds. At that point in time, I think he needed $4,000 in order to start the surgery, because he needed to travel to Trinidad to do the surgery. So he came on the program. When he came, he had a track in his throat. He was in bad shape, and our viewer base felt and saw the need to act, and they did. We were able to raise the $4,000 together with his family. We were able to raise the $4,000 needed to do the surgery. I was very happy about it, because it meant that here is a gentleman that would potentially get surgery and will do fine. So the money was raised and the funds were submitted to him, and he was also happy. We followed this story after we submitted the funds to him. We followed the story up to the point where he said he had to travel to Trinidad. But then what happened was there was an ENT specialist, an ear and throat specialist, who were in Grenada. So that basically he did not have to travel to Trinidad anymore, because the ENT specialist was in Grenada. He was happy about it. He went ahead and he did the surgery. He did the surgery. The surgery was to remove a flipper or a teeth, a false teeth that was placed on his front, that was swallowed. So the surgery was to remove that from his windpipe that was preventing him from breathing properly. As far as what he told us, the ENT specialist went through the procedures. They did the necessary X-ray, and they told him that they would have put an apparatus in his throat that would move the foreign body away from the danger zone, and then he would normally pass it out. They pass it out to normal body procedures. So after the surgery was conducted, we met with him again. I personally came to Grenada and I met with him. At the time, he was looking very happy. We was actually doing push-ups. We ran up the stairs, and I was happy for Sandy. Only to find out just a few days ago that he died. So my question was, how did he die? He appeared so well off. He was doing well after the surgery. What happened? I know I'm cutting through a lot of pieces of the story because it's a long, extended story, but to cut it short, found out that he died from the same tooth that was supposed to have been removed during the surgery. And for the life of me, I couldn't understand what was happening. How is it that it was removed? I spoke to his brother, who was there with you, that explained to me that after he died, they did an autopsy, and the autopsy revealed that the foreign body, which was the tooth, was still in his body. They took it out and they gave it to his brother. I think his brother had the physical evidence of the tooth itself. What was shocking was how the whole thing unfolded and how it could have been prevented. I'm sure that the brother would give you more details on the pieces that I left out from the story, but it's a puzzling and confusing story that someone could rely on medical professional to give him a guarantee or give him some kind of assurance that he was fine, only to die from the same thing that he was trying to avoid in the first place. So this is a long and short of the story, George.
Yeah, and we're going to hear some more, but this time we're going to hear it from the Good Samaritan. This is the gentleman who was with the young man when he passed away. Why don't you pick it up from there, Alvin? You tell me what happened this happened at night. You found the guy at night.
Early at morning.
Early morning?
Early morning, yes.
About what time?
About minutes to 2.
Okay.
A little after 2. All
right. Tell me the story.
Well, I was on my way from playing Little Giraffe and Dominoes. And coming down the Bolio area. So I got a lift to reach the decal. And the guy told me he was going over to over the lane. But I decided to pass through River Road because River was like home for me. So on my way coming down to my Stillsworth shop, I heard a loud kind of breathing with a cough. So there's a by road after my Stillsworth shop. So when I reached in the middle of the road, I saw Sandy coming out. So I stopped and asked him, I said, what is the problem with you? Is it the same where you had the operation on? He tell me, he say, boy, I'm having a hard time breathing. I say, you're having a hard time breathing? So why you didn't go to the hospital earlier? He told me, say, I went there several times and they tell me the doctor is not there. So I asked him, I said, you want to go to the hospital? Because his t-shirt was off. So he didn't reply, but we continued to walk. And he was coughing and breathing heavy with a big push like he was forcing. So I tell him, I say, man, you sure you didn't eat something? He said, no, this thing's sticking in the throat and he getting worse. But I just thought he was walking down the road. So we walked for about 6 minutes. When I reached the supermarket, the talk was getting, the song of his breathing was getting me kind of frightened. So I walked off in front of him. Not scorning him or what, but I just walked off. So on my way, about 10 feet away from him, I heard he shout out and called me, Jack, I'm going to die. So I run back to him. He hold on to me and he tell me, do you have a knife? I said, no, I don't have a knife. He said, I want to cut my throat. Yeah. So I had a knife on me, but I started thinking, if this man cut his throat and he died, I could go down for murder. So he asked me again, he told me, cut my throat, get something and cut my throat. I was like, Major, can't do that, sit down. So I hang on to him and I put him sit down and we start talk. So when he sit down now, I get up and I flog a ride. But the guy passed straight. I flog a next ride, passed straight. So he took his finger and stuck it in he have a kind of black spot in his throat with it. He took the operation and he tried to bust his throat with his finger. So at the same time now, a guy come up from nowhere and the guy come and assist me. So I told the guy, I say, press on his stomach to see if you can get him to breathe. So I stopped the next vehicle. The guy stopped. He slowed down. When I went up to the vehicle to explain, the guy just turned off his music and he drive off. Well, there was a shopkeeper lower down. He run up and he started assisting us. By the time he assisting us now, Sandy lie down, flat on the ground now. And I run towards him and hold him. And the guy Mark, just pressing on his stomach slightly. And then he tell me, he said, Jack, that is it. I'm going to die. I can't breathe no more. So, the shopkeeper said, call 911 because we didn't get no ride. And he called. Well, I called 911. And the guy pick up and he said, when I tell him the situation, He said, I'm going to put you onto the right set of people. He put me onto the hospital. A young lady pick up, and she was like, can I help you? I explained to her what happening. She told me, right now we have a serious emergency here because they have an accident, so they cannot send the ambulance. I told him, I said, someone is dying here, and if you all don't come, he's gonna die because he can't breathe, and you all did an operation on him because he swallowed a teeth, and something stuck in his throat at the moment, so you all have to come. So she told me, okay, and she put on, but we've been there for the next 5 to 6 minutes again, and two young guys passed with a van, and they stopped. And they say, once he no blood, we're going to take him. And they take him down to the hospital. Well, I sent Mark with him because I couldn't fit in the van. And I stand up there. So about the ambulance came, they asked for him. I told them I sent him down with somebody. They turned and they went back. Then about half an hour, Mark came back up and told me, Jack, the guy passed away. I told him, I said, how you mean the guy passed away? He said, the guy, when they reached the hospital, they put him out on a wheelchair. And they're telling him, get up, walk, man, help yourself. You have to walk. So I turned and tell Mark, I say, come on. They're telling the guy that. Mark say, just watch him and move him with a dead guy and telling him to get up and walk. Then I saw the guys, the two little guy who give him the ride a day or two after, and they tell me when they reach the hospital, they had to blow before somebody come out. And when they do come out, he was already dead. So and his pants, we put him in a vehicle, like his pants rolled down, and they was telling him, come on man, help yourself, get up and walk. And I don't understand what really went on, you understand? But I know he told me his throat, something was blocking his throat. That's why he asked me to cut it. You understand? And to me, he couldn't breathe, so his lack of air, so that's why he died.
And you were with him?
I was with him. Well, it was me, Mark, and Kingsley, guy who owned the shop, and the next one called Simon here. We all was there. But I was the first one, and I was there with most of the time. I was the one he really was talking to. Yeah, when he could have talked.
You said that he'd called the hospital on a number of occasions?
I see he went.
Went to the hospital on a number of occasions?
Yeah, while he was walking down the street, he told me that.
And
they told him the doctor wasn't there. So
on more than one occasion?
Yes.
You know, this is unbelievable. It really is. And by the way, just let me say this. I'm glad that you guys, we're going to be talking to another gentleman in just a minute. This gentleman here, let me turn the camera around. This is his brother, actually. And good morning, sir.
Good morning, sir.
Thank you very much for coming.
Thanks for having us. Having me, right?
Please accept our condolences. I decided that while I wanted you guys to come and talk about this, I like to get different perspectives and hear the other side of the story. So I decided to I wanted a doctor, a medic. I spoke to one doctor in particular, and his response was that he was going to try and get another doctor who might be in a better position to speak on this particular issue. I never heard from him again, so I contacted him again, and I was told that no other doctors were willing to come and discuss this matter. The doctor I was speaking to, somebody I know, and I got the feeling that, he would be willing to have a chat with us this morning. But unfortunately, doctors can't just go out and speak. They have to get permission from the higher ups. And the higher ups did not grant permission for this doctor to speak. So as a result, we do not have any medical representation here this morning. Okay, they are aware of this particular case. They are aware. And somehow it just didn't surprise me that nobody is willing to come talk about this. Rafael, let me start with you here. What's your reaction to what has happened, sir, to your brother?
It's a shocking time, it's a trying time in the circumstances to which my brother had died, passed away. It's leaving, it left an opening for situations to be remedied. In other words, there are a lot of lessons here to be learned futuristically in terms of the medical, in terms of person-to-person relation towards situations. You know, so it's really bothersome on one side, and yet still it leaves opening for futuristic improvement in circumstances such as these.
Are you hopeful?
Well, with God by our side, and I must say, in some regard, legislation can heal some of the wounds that patient faces at times.
Yeah. The reaction of your family, your mom and dad, and your brother's dad?
Yeah, it's like I say, it's trying time for the family, and I must say that we are very grateful for the effort that has been showered down in a positive way towards our brother, and the way persons try seriously at times. Mr. George did the marathon to raise funds. Persons in the medical field may have tried seriously to remedy him, bring life to him, bring him back to normalcy after he has swallowed that tooth.
You know, I'm almost speechless. Let me get Junior back in here for a minute. Junior, what has been the reaction to that program that you did? Was there an outcry?
So I didn't hear the last part of the question.
Was there an outcry? What was the reaction to the program you did?
Wow. Well, once we, from the first story that we aired with Stefan, immediately a lot of people gravitated to him. He was a very likable person. So immediately he sort of became a family, a ride-along family. And people continue to ask us to update them on his progress. So of course, when he passed away, a lot of people was angered by the fact that what we try so hard to help with, it ended up like almost, it really did not work. The idea was to have him well, have him do the surgery so he could live a longer life. And when it came, we heard of his passing. I mean, everybody was angered. I mean, just the video that we uploaded on his passing, it went viral probably over 50,000 views, because people feel so passionate about something like that happening to someone next door. What's next, you know? So people are angered. People are angry about what happened here. And George, as you said, I really hope that we did have a medical professional on the program that we could ask the question: what really happened? What was supposed to happen? What's the normal procedures of things like that? And why wasn't it put in place? People are angered because what happened to a follow-up? Like if someone was given a surgery, what happened to follow-up to see how the progress was. What happened to that? Was that done? If so, you know, did they see any? Did they still see the foreign body? Did they just ignore that it was there? What really happened? I mean, this is so much this is breakdown on so many different levels, there, George. It's a breakdown, and I would have really liked to hear someone on that side of the medical field to really talk to us and give us some information as to why this happened. Look at the family; they have to go through this next week or so burying Stefan, you know, and that's something that they expected. So, George, it just angers every single person, not only in Grenada but around the world.
You know, Junior, I agree with you. This would have been an excellent opportunity. There are so many horrendous stories about what goes on at the hospital that I thought this would be a really good opportunity for them to come forth and, you know, if even there was some sort of culpability, to at least give some explanation as to why what happened, you know. But to just thumb their noses at me, I didn't bother calling the Minister of Education because I've been trying to reach him for a couple of years now, and I just haven't been successful. And I've got a lot more important things to do than, you know, go chasing after people who have no interest in anything that I have to say. So I just ignored that. But I had hoped that somebody from the medical fraternity, a genuine doctor, and the person I spoke to was no intern. This is a senior medical officer I was speaking to. But he was not allowed to come talk with us. And that, I think, is going to open the eyes of the Grenadian people even wider to what they already know is happening at the General Hospital.
It's a sad situation, George. I don't mean to cut you. I have to run really quickly. I just saw something unfolding that I got to take care of. But George, the video speaks for itself. Yeah, I'm sure you have a copy of it. People could take a closer look at it. You have the family there that could give you more details on it. And it's just a sad situation. I just want to see something like that never happen again. And things have to be put in place so that it never happen again. We need answers to why this happened and how things like that could be prevented. Okay, George, sorry to rush you, but I just saw something unfolding that I really need to take care of. So I apologize for.
Understand that you got to go, but please accept my appreciation for the work that you're doing, bringing a lot of these things to light as well. Take it easy, Junior.
Thank you so much, George.
All right. Junior George there speaking to us from New York, and back here now you're looking at a gentleman by the name Raphael Sandy. He is the brother of the young man this week. And just over here to his right is Alvin Redhead, who is the person in whose arms this young man died.
Yes.
Folks, pardon me? Yeah, let me hear you.
One thing, the doctor who did the autopsy spoke to me in relation to my brother and his passing.
I'm anxious to hear that.
He went through some terminology to which I'm not too preview of.
Right.
But in layman language, what he told me is that apart from he never even mentioned about the tooth with regards to the death of my brother, because he in his analysis that he to him did not cause the death of my brother. What he said was that my brother had a heart condition, whereby having the heart not being able to perform its function adequately, simply because for the part that there was there was a coat of blood around the heart, leaving the heart not being able to perform his function adequately. So as a result, the heart was sort of in a nutshell scenario. So distributing oxygen and so on to the parts of the body was inadequate because of that ailment to which the doctor spoke of.
Stefan?
Yeah.
If that's the case, explain to me, what is the difficulty in coming and sitting next to you guys here this morning and say, hey folks, this is what happened. Like I suggested a little while ago, you know, I'm not a medic, neither are any of you.
Never, not I.
Why can't these people speak out to the Grenadian people? It's a matter of sheer disrespect for the Grenadian people. They need to know what's happening. Let me, hold on a sec. Just, okay, go ahead. Say what you want to say. I want to read some comments on Shout.
I mean, I'm in no field of medical situation, but as I tell you, I was there, the man was in my arms, and the man told me, it's his throat just blocked. Air cannot come out, something tight in his throat, blocking his air. So that's all he keep stressing on, this thing blocking his throat, and he need his throat to cut so he could breathe. There was nothing like he was feeling no pain in his lower stomach or anything. It's just something to lock his throat. That's all he consists on. This thing block his throat, and he pushing his finger down in the hole, trying to bust his throat for him, the throat for himself. So when somebody tell me they see his heart attack the man got, and I know what the man tell me, but as I said.
And you were with him when he died?
Yeah, and as I say, he had no pain. We talked for a while. We talked about 6 minutes before he really stopped, because he told me he can't go no more. He's breathing. It's like coughing. Every time he cough, the thing go up like a block. So he reached a point where no air was coming out now. So this heart problem, I don't want to say he didn't tell me that.
Bob Marishow says, you are scaring me, making this thing look so conspiratorial. If the government is caught, it would be very embarrassing to them. To use one politician's phrase, they would get licks. Ernesto Jose says, are we that heartless? No vehicles to stop to assist that helpless person, and the vehicle that stopped drove away when a life could have been saved? He also says, my condolences to the family. Tessa Barry says, so who's to be held accountable for this after a surgery? Ernesto says, I'm scared to bring my children over to Grenada. If we're that heartless in Grenada, from the vehicle owners to the hospital, or make sure I have the money to jump on the next plane back to the USA. All right, folks. All right. There you have it. There you have it. I'm just going to quickly share some of the comments that you've been posting on social media. First of all, Yvonne Joseph says, this situation, excuse me, this situation in my country is making me sick. How can people go home to live in Grenada in this condition? Ryan agrees with her. Ryan says, yes, lady, a dilemma indeed. Kipling Francis says, some of these things happening in Grenada can and will make some people lose hope and faith. But it's advisable to remember that some things happen so that we can learn. Sad as it may be, just wish we can learn and strive to do better. Fitzroy Adams says, I am retired and would have liked to move back to Grenada. But based on the condition of the health care in Grenada, no way, Jose. So says Fitzroy. And Ryan wraps it up by saying, risky. Folks, let me take a quick break. We'll come back, wrap it up.
We are honored to partner with the Grenada Schools, Inc., the Ministry of Education, and the Calais Government School in providing this library. GCPI program put $120,000 or 66% of the cost of the library. But it's not an investment that is intended to bring a financial return. It is an investment in the human capital of our youth in Grenada.
GRENLEC has shown us their seriousness about partnership, their seriousness about education, and their seriousness about nation building. That local partnership tells our major donors that Grenada is interested.
We have got a big vision at Grenada Schools. We believe that what we can do is, through literacy, have the most literate country in the Caribbean. We are very happy that you've got this gift from ourselves and from GRENLEC.
We see this library as a unique and valuable resource. One of the best things about receiving this library is that it honors and recognizes the efforts and contributions of a company like GRENLEC and Grenada Schools Incorporated.
Since 1994, GRENLEC shareholders have invested over $22 million. This has been invested in the communities throughout Grenada, Carriacou, and Petit Martinique. We hope this library will serve the students and school well for many years to come.
Juve chocolates, cocoa nibs, and cocoa balls from Diamond Estate Grenada are now available at Amazon.com, Amazon.ca, Amazon.co.uk, and GrenadaMarket.com. Try the sensational touch of nutmeg and a touch of ginger chocolates, 75% dark and rich, 100% pure cocoa, and their 60% dark and sweet chocolate bars today. Amazon Prime members enjoy free shipping on these orders in the USA, Canada, and Europe. GrenadaMarket.com. When you can't come to the island, the products of the island will come to you.
Alrighty, folks, today's parting word comes to you from the book of Hebrews. Hebrews chapter 13, verses 4, 5, and 6. Marriage should be honored by all, and the marriage bed kept pure. For God will judge the adulterer and all the sexually immoral. Keep your lives free from the love of money and be content with what you have. Because God has said, never will I leave you. Never will I forsake you. So we say with confidence, the Lord is my helper. I will not be afraid. What can mere mortals do to me? Hebrews 13, verses 4 to 6. Ryan says, thank you, George, for keeping us informed on current affairs in Grenada. Peace be upon you. Thank you, Ryan. And on that note, let's pull the curtain down on the week opener. Yes, sirree, the Monday edition of Good Day Grenada. Thank you very much for joining us. May our good Lord bless and keep you.